Standing on the front steps of the family home, I held the warm hands of my 2 grandchildren as they trembled with fear. My husband of for decades pushed legal divorce papers across the wooden table toward me. The young woman beside him told me to leave because the house had no space for a parasite. Little did they know, a legal document containing a fortune of $24 million was resting safely inside my handbag. My name is Rosemary, and until that very afternoon, my quiet life revolved around the local library in our small New York town. For 40 years, I believed that Arthur and I shared a bond built on sacrifice. In our youth, I worked double shifts to support his dream of starting a construction firm, even skipping new clothes so he could buy equipment. I believed marriage was a partnership where no one kept score. Our grown daughter Natalie was raising 2 beautiful children alone after a difficult divorce, working tireless hours as a physical therapist to make ends meet. Our son Julian taught high school history and always told his students that life was shaped by the hard choices people made. On that fateful Tuesday, my peaceful routine shattered when a prominent estate attorney named Charles called me with unbelievable news. My wealthy great-aunt Victoria had passed away and named me as her sole heir. The attorney explained that Victoria left me $24 million, an office skyscraper in the heart of Manhattan, and control of her charitable foundation. The massive numbers felt completely surreal, and my knees grew weak as I leaned against a nearby bookshelf for support. Charles requested complete confidentiality until the official transfer of ownership was finalized, which I readily promised. I instantly pictured a secure future for Natalie, college funds for the kids, and a peaceful retirement with Arthur. After picking up Maya and Leo from school, I drove home with a heart full of hope for our future. My optimism evaporated the moment I pulled into the driveway and spotted 2 luxury vehicles parked outside. My grandchildren sensed the sudden tension and gripped my hands tightly as we walked toward the porch. There stood Arthur, accompanied by a glamorous younger real estate agent named Cassandra, whose name I had previously noticed on his phone bills. Several large cardboard boxes with my name written in bold marker were stacked on the wooden steps. Arthur crossed his arms and announced coldly that he had filed for divorce months ago, delivering the news without a single hint of regret. Cassandra stepped forward to hand me the legal documents herself, cementing her place by his side with a possessive gesture. I stood there in complete shock, watching decades of shared memories get dismantled in a matter of seconds. Seeing the tears on the face of little Maya, I knelt down and gently asked the children to visit our neighbor Mrs. Gable. Our kind neighbor immediately noticed the tense situation and hurried over to guide the frightened children to her house. Once the children were safely away, Cassandra sneered and accused me of living off the hard work of Arthur for decades. She clearly had no knowledge of the sacrifices I made to keep his company afloat during the recession. Cassandra demanded that I pack my remaining things and leave the property immediately, calling me a useless leech. Her cruel words hung in the quiet afternoon air, but instead of crying, a strange and powerful calmness washed over me. I felt the weight of the legal envelope inside my purse and realized that I was not the one losing everything today. I looked at Arthur, who refused to meet my eyes, and I let out a soft, genuine laugh. Cassandra asked what was so funny, and I calmly informed her that this house belonged entirely to me. Arthur laughed in mock amusement, but his smile vanished when I reminded him of the financial crisis 15 years ago. To protect our assets from creditors during the bankruptcy scare, he had legally transferred the deed of the house into my name. He had promised to change it back once the business recovered, but we simply never did. The sudden silence on the porch was absolute as the color drained completely from the face of my husband. Cassandra turned to him in anger, demanding to know if this accusation was true, but his silence confirmed her worst fears. I walked past their packed boxes, unlocked the front door with my key, and told them that my lawyer would review the papers. I stepped inside the quiet hallway and closed the door, shutting out their frantic arguments. The familiar rooms of my home felt peaceful for the first time in years as I let out a long breath. I walked to the kitchen and removed a vacation magnet from the refrigerator, realizing that some dreams were meant to be left behind. Mrs. Gable soon returned with Maya and Leo, offering a warm embrace that required no complicated explanations. I made dinner for the children, assuring them that my love for them would never change. The next morning, I traveled into Manhattan to meet Charles at his elegant office near Bryant Park. As we finalized the documents for the $24 million and the skyscraper, He handed me a personal letter from my late aunt. Her written words encouraged me to use this wealth to build a life of true freedom and purpose. I realized that the inheritance was not just money, but a shield that protected me during my darkest hour. Arthur and Cassandra were forced to find another place to live, while I sold the house and shared the wealth with my children. Natalie no longer had to struggle with bills, and Julian received all the resources he needed for his high school students. I relocated to a beautiful apartment overlooking the city, starting a fresh chapter focused on philanthropy and family. The betrayal of my husband was painful, but it ultimately guided me to my true strength.